Do you know about the usurper Magnus Maximus? Allow me to unmask myself and tell you a tale of ambition, power and downfall, my testimony from beyond the veil. I was born in Spain, of humble origin, a simple soldier's son. My family was not of noble blood, but my early years were filled with stories of heroes and emperors. From a young age I was educated in the arts of war and governance, taught to read and write, and trained to wield a sword. The land I called home was rugged, a fitting backdrop for a future emperor. As I grew older, my talents in military strategy and leadership did not go unnoticed. By my 20s, I was commanding troops in Britain, battling the fierce Picts and Scots. My early life was marked by struggle and survival, each victory a step closer to my ultimate destiny. Foreshadowing the events that would shape my life, my thirst for power began to grow. I saw the weaknesses in the Roman Empire, the cracks in its once mighty foundation. The empire was vast and sprawling, beset by internal strife and external threats. It was in this chaotic environment that my ambitions took root. My name is Magnus Maximus, and this is the story of how I rose from the ranks of the military to claim the imperial throne. But my journey was far from easy, and my reign would be marked by both triumph and tragedy. One day, while surveying the battlements of a Roman fort in Britain, I pondered the future. The wind whipped through my hair as I watched the horizon, imagining the power that awaited me. It was here that I first conceived the idea of seizing the throne. The current emperor, Gratian, was weak and indecisive, a man unfit to rule an empire in turmoil. My early years were but a prelude to the drama that would unfold. Little did I know, my ambitions would soon set me on a collision course with fate. The road to power is never straight, and the price of ambition is often steep. The year 383 would be a turning point. My troops, loyal and battle-hardened, proclaimed me emperor. It was a bold move, one that would change the course of history. I crossed the sea to confront Gratian, knowing that my destiny lay on the continent. Stay with me as I recount the tale of my ascent to the throne, the battles I fought, and the decisions that defined my reign. In the next part, you will witness my rise to power, the bloodshed, and the betrayal that marked my path. The year was 383. My troops, loyal and battle-hardened, had proclaimed me emperor. My thirst for power knew no bounds, as Gratian found out, a fate he did not deserve, but power is a merciless game. I crossed the sea, leaving the familiar shores of Britain behind, and set foot on the European continent with a single goal: to claim the imperial throne. The moment I confronted Gratian is one I will never forget. His forces, disillusioned and divided, saw in me a leader who could restore Rome's former glory. I won over his advancing troops and Gratian fled, but destiny is rarely kind to the defeated. He was overtaken and killed on August 25, 383. It was a swift and brutal end for a man who once held the reins of power. With Gratian out of the way, I took up residence at Augusta Treverorum, modern-day Trier in Germany. The city, with its grand architecture and strategic location, became the center of my empire. But securing my position required more than military might. It demanded diplomacy and shrewd alliances. I reached out to the Eastern Emperor, Theodosius I. The eastern frontier was under threat, and Theodosius, ever pragmatic, chose to recognize my rule rather than engage in a costly war. Negotiations with Valentinian II, the young co-emperor with Gratian, were more tenuous. Our peace was uneasy, held together by a fragile understanding that could shatter at any moment. To strengthen my claim, I elevated my son, Flavius Victor, to be co-ruler. His elevation was recognized by the other emperors, solidifying our dynasty's grip on power. Yet, ruling an empire is never without challenges. My early days on the throne were a whirlwind of administrative reforms and military campaigns. I focused on securing the borders, repelling barbarian incursions, and consolidating my power. Each day brought new threats and opportunities, each decision a step further into the annals of history. One evening, as I sat in my chambers, a missive arrived. It was from Theodosius, expressing his concerns about our shared enemies. The letter was a stark reminder that my position, while formidable, was far from secure. Allies could become adversaries in the blink of an eye, and the delicate balance of power was always at risk. The night was long, filled with contemplation and planning. I knew that my reign would be defined not just by the battles I fought, but by the alliances I forged and the legacy I left behind. Little did I know the most significant challenges were yet to come. The invasion of Italy, the conflicts with Valentinian II, and the ultimate confrontation with Theodosius would test my resolve like never before. Stay with me as I navigate the complexities of my reign, the triumphs and the betrayals that shaped my rule. In the next part, you will witness the height of my power and the strategic maneuvers that defined my legacy. With the empire now under my control, I felt the intoxicating rush of power. My reign was marked by a relentless drive to secure and stabilize my territories. I spent countless hours strategizing, dispatching generals, and fortifying borders. Each victory solidified my rule, but every decision carried the weight of the empire on my shoulders. In those early years, I focused on strengthening my position. Administrative reforms were essential. The empire was vast and needed efficient governance. I restructured the tax system to ensure a steady flow of revenue and implemented measures to curb corruption. My advisors were carefully chosen, loyal men who understood the importance of a strong, centralized authority. But my reign was not without controversy. My religious policies were particularly divisive. Christianity was spreading rapidly, but the old pagan traditions still held sway in many parts of the empire. I sought to strike a balance, promoting Christianity while allowing pagan practices to continue. This delicate dance pleased neither side entirely, but it was a necessary compromise to maintain stability. Military campaigns were a constant necessity. Barbarian threats loomed on the frontiers, and internal dissent threatened to undermine my authority. I led several expeditions to repel invaders and crush rebellions. My victories on the battlefield were numerous, but they came at a cost. The empire's resources were stretched thin, and the burden on my soldiers was immense. One of the most significant moments of my reign was the invasion of Italy in 387. Valentinian II, who had never fully accepted my authority, was a constant thorn in my side. The young emperor, backed by his formidable mother Justina, posed a significant threat. I knew that to secure my legacy, I needed to eliminate this rival. As my forces marched into Italy, the tension was palpable. The campaign was swift and decisive. Valentinian fled to Thessalonica, seeking refuge with Theodosius. For a brief moment, it seemed that I had achieved the ultimate victory. But the triumph was fleeting. War broke out between me and Theodosius in 388. Theodosius, strengthened by an alliance with the Persians, was a formidable opponent. The battles were fierce, each clash a testament to the empire's fractured state. My troops fought valiantly, but the tide of war turned against us. Defeat came swiftly at Siscia and Pola, in Illyricum. Captured and brought before Theodosius, I knew my time had come. The weight of my ambitions, the relentless drive for power, and the bloodshed that marked my path had led me here. As I faced my execution, I reflected on my reign, the highs and the lows, the triumphs and the betrayals. But my story does not end with my death. My legacy, for better or worse, would endure. Join me in the next part as we explore the impact of my rule, the mark I left on history, and the lessons learned from my rise and fall. The year 388 marked the end of my reign. Captured by Theodosius, I faced my execution with a mix of defiance and resignation. The weight of my ambitions, the relentless pursuit of power, had brought me to this fateful moment. As I awaited my fate, I couldn't help but reflect on the choices that had led me here. My fall was swift and brutal. Theodosius, ever the pragmatist, saw my execution as a necessary act to restore order and unity to the empire. I was executed on August 27, 388, my dreams of a restored and powerful Rome extinguished in an instant. But even in death, my story was far from over. The empire, fractured and beleaguered, would continue to face the same challenges that had defined my rule. The internal strife, the external threats, the delicate balance of power, all these issues persisted long after I was gone. My son, Flavius Victor, who had been my co-ruler, was also executed, marking the end of my dynasty. Yet, in the annals of history I left a mark. The Dream of Maxen, a legendary tale in the medieval Welsh Mabinogion, immortalized my rise to power. This fantastical version of my story, filled with romance and heroism, stood in stark contrast to the brutal reality of my reign. It was a testament to the enduring fascination with my life and the complex legacy I left behind. As I faced my final moments, I thought of the battles fought, the alliances forged, and the sacrifices made. My reign had been a whirlwind of ambition and conflict, marked by both triumph and tragedy. I had sought to bring stability to an empire in turmoil, but in the end, my quest for power had led to my downfall. But what of my legacy? How would history remember Magnus Maximus? Would I be seen as a usurper, a tyrant, or a valiant leader who dared to challenge the status quo? These questions lingered as the sword fell, ending my life, but not my story. Join me in the next part as we explore the aftermath of my reign, the legacy I left behind, and the lessons history has gleaned from my rise and fall. My impact on the Roman Empire, for better or worse, would be felt for generations to come. With my execution in 388, one might think my influence would fade into the annals of history. However, my legacy endured, shaping the empire long after my death. My life and reign left an indelible mark on the Roman Empire, serving as both a cautionary tale and a testament to the relentless pursuit of power. Historians and scholars have debated my legacy for centuries. Some view me as a usurper whose ambition destabilized an already fragile empire. My rise to power, characterized by betrayal and bloodshed, was seen as a desperate grab for control during a time of chaos. My invasion of Italy and the resulting war with Theodosius were perceived as acts of hubris, ultimately leading to my downfall. However, others argue that I was a valiant leader who sought to restore order to a crumbling empire. My military campaigns against the Picts and Scots in Britain demonstrated my prowess as a commander, and my administrative reforms aimed to bring stability to my territories. In a time of great uncertainty, I provided a strong hand, albeit a controversial one. The legendary tale of the Dream of Maxen added a romanticized layer to my legacy. This story, part of the medieval Welsh Mabinogion, portrayed me as a hero whose rise to power was guided by destiny. In this fantastical narrative, my life was intertwined with myth and legend, capturing the imagination of generations. It was a stark contrast to the harsh realities of my rule, but contributed to the enduring fascination with my story. Despite my controversial legacy, my reign had lasting impacts. The administrative reforms I implemented, although not universally popular, laid the groundwork for future governance. My efforts to balance religious practices reflected the complexities of a transitioning empire, striving to accommodate both traditional paganism and the burgeoning influence of Christianity. Moreover, my actions served as a precedent for future usurpers and leaders. My rise and fall demonstrated the volatility of power and the precarious nature of imperial rule. The lessons learned from my reign influenced subsequent emperors, shaping their strategies and policies in the face of similar challenges. As the centuries passed, the story of Magnus Maximus became a symbol of ambition and the quest for power. My name was etched into the history books, my deeds analyzed and debated by scholars and historians. Whether seen as a tyrant or a hero, my legacy remained a significant chapter in the story of the Roman Empire. Join me in the final part of this narrative, where we explore the remnants of my reign and how you, as modern explorers, can connect with the past through experiential travel, ancient coin collecting, and the philosophy of the Renaissance spirit. In the centuries that followed my death, the remnants of my reign have continued to intrigue and captivate those who seek to understand the complexities of history. As modern explorers, you have the unique opportunity to connect with the past, to walk the same paths I once did, and to uncover the stories that shaped an empire. Experiential travel offers a way to immerse yourself in the world of ancient Rome. Visiting Augusta Treverorum, now known as Trier, Germany, allows you to see the city where I established my rule. The ancient ruins, including the Porta Nigra and the imperial baths, stand as testaments to the grandeur of the Roman Empire. Imagine the bustling streets, the majestic architecture, and the political intrigues that once filled these historic sites. Another fascinating way to engage with history is through ancient coin collecting. Coins from my reign, bearing my image and inscriptions, provide a tangible connection to the past. These artifacts not only offer insights into the economic and political landscape of the time, but also serve as a reminder of the intricate and multifaceted nature of my legacy. Collecting these coins can be a rewarding journey, uncovering stories etched in metal that have survived the passage of time. As you explore these historical avenues, remember the philosophy that guides our channel, the Renaissance spirit. Our channel is dedicated to the pursuits of a just, equitable, and humanitarian world. We cover topics including history, politics, religion, personal development, society, culture, social and environmental justice, and other subjects within the liberal arts and sciences. Ancient Rome and the Roman Empire, in particular, offer valuable comparisons and contrasts to the modern world, making them perfect topics for the true modern polymath. The Renaissance ushered in a golden age of knowledge, both lost to time and yet to be discovered. It gave birth to the Enlightenment and the Age of Reason. Embracing truth, knowledge, and an understanding of and compassion for humanity and our shared history opens up the world to each of us individually and improves all of humanity. This affords us the opportunity to be better stewards of the earth and to each other. The Renaissance spirit is more than just a philosophy or style. It's a way of living, learning, growing, and thinking. Thank you for watching and joining me on this journey through history. If you're looking to explore and experience what life has to offer, I'm sure you'll enjoy the other videos on my channel. Please peruse them and let me know in the comments what you get out of them and what other topics you'd like to see. But first, take the quiz next to see if you're a Renaissance spirit. Live the Renaissance spirit. As we conclude this narrative, remember that the story of Magnus Maximus is not just about the rise and fall of an emperor. It's a story of ambition, power, and legacy, offering lessons that transcend time. Let the past inspire you, guide you, and help you navigate the complexities of the present to new beginnings and timeless journeys. If you're intrigued by this story, Please subscribe, turn on notifications, and share our channel with others who share a passion for history and exploration. Together, we can keep the Renaissance spirit alive and thriving.